because he wants to know how to do it?
Yeah, they want to know how to do it. So here we go. So here is the wire frame that I use. This is called a wreath frame, a wire wreath frame. This one's 12 inches. That's my favorite size. I just get it at Walmart. You can use floral wire. I don't use floral wire, but it would make the process easier. Then of course the greenery, and these are my gardening shears to cut the greenery gloves because it really irritates my skin. And then whatever you want to decorate the wreath with, I really like the dried citrus, and then I secure it with a glue gun. Someone commented that it looks like a Leland cypress, and that sounds right. When I looked it up, it looked like the same plant. So it might be a Leland cypress. Any evergreen, I'm sure you could experiment with and see if it works, but you want branches that have a good tip at the end and don't get too thick. So down here, this gets pretty thick. That's going to be hard to work with. So try not to cut branches in the middle, but right here you can see this strand is really thin all the way to the base right here, so that's a really good one to cut, and I always try to cut as close to the base as I can for the plant's health. You also want some thinner strands just to fill in. It's like that would be a really good one. I'll cut that one. This one right here will be fantastic. So I'm going to cut some of these and then wrap them. I always get more than I think I need, so you can start with a little and always prune more so you don't have waste. And I will say, I'm not trying to encourage anyone to get in a fight with their neighbor. So be respectful, ask permission. Okay, so to wrap it, you see how there are these sections on the frame, and there's also a front and a back. So the frame kind of bevels out, and that's my front. I usually go from the back to the front, right in the middle of the section like this. And it's just like a lot of trial and error here. So I do that so that I can wedge it into the next section bar right there. And it really doesn't matter if you put it in the middle or the outside or the inside, just kind of alternate. So then I have it like that, and then I can force it through the next side like this, and then out this way. And an important thing to keep in mind is you want to make sure all of the branches you're wrapping are wrapping the same direction, so that you don't have like the stuff sticking out. Is you want it to all stick out the same direction, so not like this. You want it all to stick out. You can pick clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever. And this is the kind of thing where it looks rough until the very end. So you just have to keep going, keep trying. So I'm going to go from the back to the front. No, I'm doing it the wrong direction. Okay, back to the front, wedge the end in there, and this is where you could definitely grab some Florist wire, wrap it, and it would keep it in place, especially at these ends. But again, I don't like to do that. So then I have it out. You can decide how far you want things to stick out. You can trim things if they're too long or too bushy. I'll just trial and error. And then I like, these have some berries, and I like leaving them in as long as the kids aren't going to be in danger of eating them. So again, I'm poking it through the wrong side of the wreath to the right side so that I can wrap it and wedge it against that bar and make sure it's all circling in the same direction. You just kind of trial and error until it looks how you want it to. Okay, it's looking like not great, right? So you just keep working, keep trying to find the balance. When you have it all covered, then you can start to fill in with the smaller pieces like this one to just try and hide that frame. And these you don't have to necessarily poke in from the wrong side or the right side. You can just poke them in however and hide them. Does that look okay? Yeah, it's looking good. I think I'm gonna need to trim some of this bushiness. Trim this right here because it's just a little bit too bushy. And trim this one. Okay, I think I am happy with how it looks. It's just a lot of trial and error. I'm sure there are people trained in floral arts who could tell you a better way to do it, but this is how I do it. Sometimes I have to take it apart and start again because it's just not working, but this one I got on my first try. Some of these are a little long, so I might trim those, I might not. I can't decide. But now I'm gonna take it inside and hot glue my oranges. I wanna show you the back. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see where things have just been wedged, and the more you put on there, the firmer things will stay in there. But I try and just keep all the ends poking out in the back. In total, I probably use 3 long, thicker strands and maybe 4 smaller ones. So it's really not a lot of greenery. Of course, it'll depend on your frame size, but I would definitely err on the side of pruning less. especially if you live in a harsher climate and it's not pruning time. So to dry these, I cut them very thinly using a mandolin so that they were even. I think it's called a mandolin. And then I set them on a wire rack, not a cookie sheet, so that it could dry on the bottom as well. And I put them in the oven on the lowest heat setting for a couple hours until they were all the way dry. And they've lasted me for years. They don't smell good. I thought they would, but they don't smell bad either, so that's fine. The limes really turned out beautiful. So I'm going to pick some of these and just hot glue them. See, there's a lemon. You can see how the lemon really burns on the inside. The lime does as well, but the lemon turns super dark. The oranges and grapefruit stay lighter. I need to hide this wire frame showing through. So I think I'm just going to put them here on the bottom rather than all over like I've done in the past. So I just get a nice arrangement that I like. You can hide the imperfections under the branches, get some variety going. Okay, so once I have an arrangement that I like, then I just gently pick them up and hot glue using a good amount of glue. I said in the last video that I reuse the oranges every year, and as I was making this tutorial, I'm actually wondering if that's true. I know I have reused oranges, but that might have been when I've attached them using fishing line instead of hot glue. So I'm sorry, that might have been misleading. I think you would still be able to reuse them because the glue can break off pretty easily, but I don't know. I'll have to report back at the end of the season if I can get them apart without ruining them. I think I just broke my glue gun, so hopefully everything is secure. All right, so everything feels pretty secure. While you have your glue gun out, you can also secure, I think I might glue that piece a little bit, maybe right there, so it still sticks out a little bit. You can secure some of those loose ends with some hot glue. Okay, and that's it. The hardest part is wrapping the greenery, and drying the oranges takes a bit of time, but it is definitely doable for the non-crafty person.